everybody. Welcome back to the Mindful of You podcast. This is episode 61, Lessons from Disney's Moana. So I wanted to do another lessons episode, particularly for Moana, for a couple of reasons. One, she is my favorite Disney princess. I don't feel like she's a popular favorite. I feel like everybody likes her, maybe even loves her, but she is my favorite. And then they recently released a teaser for Moana 2 that comes out at the end of the year. And to all of you anti-sequel people, I want to say I'm glad I'm getting more Moana. And I'm glad it's before a live action or something. I kind of hope that they don't do that. I'm a little anti-live action. If it's really cool, I can get behind it, but I worry that it won't be really cool. So I guess we'll see. Maybe I'll love it, but I love Moana. So I was actually watching this movie shortly before I left on my mission, on my laptop on Weber State campus. I don't know why that's what I was doing and not something more helpful or useful, but I was just watching Moana and I remember just crying. I was like, she is so brave. She's so brave. I want to be brave. And so that movie has always held a really special place in my heart. So I've got seven lessons here that we're going to run through. I think they're pretty fun. And if there's any others, tell me about them. I'd love to hear it. So the first lesson here is most people don't know exactly what they want to be from the time they are young. So in last week's episode, I touched a little bit on my career aspirations and not being sure where I was going to go. I definitely didn't know when I was really young. There are people out there who do know, I want to be an astronaut. And then they go through all the steps and become an astronaut. That's freaking crazy, but cool. But Moana, she had some dissonance with the fact that she was supposed to be the leader, but she wasn't sure that's what she wanted. She has more of an explorer heart and she wanted to be with the water like her grandmother. But there was a lot of dissonance there because she was being told she was going to be something else. So just know that's normal if you're experiencing any kind of, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, or even if you're already grown up and you're still experiencing that, that's fine too. So number 2, playing it safe doesn't encourage growth. So Moana totally could have, stayed on the island and arguably should have. What she did was super dangerous, when she decided to venture out into the unknown, but she would have been playing it really safe. I am totally a play it safe person, and I have to kind of work to not be because I know it doesn't make me happy. I think that's what I want. What I want is just security and things to be straightforward. But in all actuality, I don't actually like that. I want something that's going to push me a little bit and that's going to make me grow. And a lot of times the harder I'm pushed, the happier I am. I still have that overwhelm sometimes or that fear, just like Moana does. But ultimately, I end up being glad for the little bit of a push. Number 3, this is talking about Maui. Overconfidence is often a front to mask fear or shame. So if you know anybody who's cocky, or if you're ever cocky sometimes, a lot of times there's something behind that. So that doesn't mean you need to prod their mask and be like, hey, are you actually just scared? But that's often what's going on. People can overcompensate because they're afraid that you'll see through them. And so they are overly confident. I think that Maui was genuinely a little bit scared. And he'd also messed up. So I think there was some shame there too. And so he masks it with being like, I'm the coolest guy ever. That's also just a little bit his personality. But in the end, I think that's kind of why he acts that way. Okay. Number 4 is learn from your elders, those with more experience than you. So just because someone is older than you or has more experience with you doesn't inherently make them right or that they know more than you, but I have a tendency especially to be like, I know, like, but I already know. I know what the right thing to do is, or I think I have the best solution for this issue. And I'm taken by surprise over and over again when I realize like that person had the solution all along, or they knew better than I did in this instance. And in this case, I'm thinking about Moana and her grandma, and how much she admires her and uses her courage for herself in a way. So I think it's important to recognize that just as much as every new year comes that you feel like you know more, there's somebody who's already been through all of these years. And so don't be afraid to like listen to those people and hear what they've learned. And I know that for me, like there's been advice from my parents that has really been helpful and crucial for me. Like I know my mom has always encouraged me like to be honest, like if I'm feeling anxious or scared to speak up. She also talks about like doing my best not to like overthink or sweat so many decisions, to being okay with just moving forward. So I know that people who are older than me and have experienced it before me is something I really value, even if I forget to value it sometimes. Number 5, things are often harder than we expected, but that doesn't mean that we are on the wrong path. So I think it's safe to say Moana goes into this little adventure maybe slightly overconfident. Like she's definitely scared and she definitely like has to show a lot of courage, but I don't think she realizes quite how difficult it's going to be. And then she gets to the point where she feels like she's not good enough. And she kind of gives up. And then her grandma comes and helps her to find the courage to move forward and tell her like, no, you are the one. You can do this. I think that is a really important lesson, because I think a lot of times when things get really hard, our instinct is, well, then this must not be right, or I should probably turn around, or I should start over. Maybe that's the case, but maybe it means it's just time to, really just take a deep breath and keep going. Moana is totally the one who has the strength to figure all this out. She just needed a reminder. So number 6, this one's kind of interesting. We can approach rage with understanding and love. So I'm thinking of like the island, when it's like that fire monster. But Moana is so courageous and realizes what's going on and approaches it with so much understanding and love. I think that it's our instinct when somebody is angry or rude to reciprocate that energy. And it takes a lot more strength to give grace and to be courageous enough to not let that dictate how you respond. And it's so successful for Moana to respond with understanding and love. And I want to be more this way. Like I really do. And it takes so much practice and it's hard work. I have days at work where I come home and I'm like, I did it. Like I feel like I was nice to all my students. And I really saw them and I was present with them. And there's other days where I'm like, I wasn't patient. I wasn't patient and I wasn't as kind as I want to be. There's days with my spouse where I feel that way, where I'm like, man, why is every little thing, getting under my skin today, and then there's other days where I'm like, I think I was a really patient and loving wife today. And I think that's normal to an extent, but I want to have more and more days where I'm reacting to negative emotion with more understanding and love. It's hard. And it's a high bar, but the more we can do it, not only will we start to feel better, but the other person will feel more understood and maybe start to recognize how they can better approach you with love and understanding. Okay, number 7. Our passions and purposes can reveal themselves as we take steps forward. So I don't think Moana knew that, like, by going out, like, and exploring what was beyond, that she would, save their whole island, or that she would, I guess, find a new job. That sounds weird, but like she didn't realize like how much this was going to shape her destiny. Like, she was just kind of taking one step forward at a time. And if you haven't listened to last week's episode, check it out because I talk a little bit more about this. But as we move forward, whether it just be a little bit at a time or a big step or a big leap forward, more and more things will start to reveal themselves to us. So anyway, that's all. Thank you so much for listening. Next week, we have an interview with Rachel Taylor. She's going to be chatting with us about like physical health and movement and exercise and how that can positively impact our mental health. If you're not an exercise person, don't avoid this week because it's going to be helpful. So thank you guys for listening. Have an amazing week. Bye-bye.